motor service, cooling system service, refrigerant recovery procedures. Refrigerant recovery procedure couldn't be easier. You hook the machine up to it, turn it on, you hit recover, and it does everything for you. All you gotta do is push buttons. Describe the evacuation process, same thing. How to identify non-commensal gas and refrigerant, like air, basically. You don't want air in the system. Air is a non-condensable gas. This you don't have to do either because the machine does it for you. Yay. How to recycle refrigerants recharge system retrofit a R12 to 134A. I seriously doubt you'll ever do that, but we'll talk about that. Some older cars, since you can't buy R12 anymore, or it's very hard to find and expensive, some people will convert these older cars to 134A so they can still have air conditioning in an old car. Okay? How to service compressor, condenser, evaporator, receiver dryer, and or accumulator, orifice tube, suspension valve, all that kind of stuff. Okay, starts with blower motor service. Not a whole lot going on there. If the blower motor is bad, it needs a blower motor. It could have a relay banner switch, mechanical, electrical, or vacuum components that are related to that. We saw something like this in the last one. This is just one of those meters that has the capability of checking current draw without opening the circuit and putting something in line with the wire. Those are inductive pickups, work really well. So, this is just demonstrating what the current draw would be on the blower motor power wire at different fan speeds. So, as we talked about before, doesn't do you any good to know this if you don't know what it's supposed to be, right? So let's say the blower motor is drawing 12 amps with a blower on high. That's cool. What's it supposed to be though? Right? Doesn't do any good to know what it is if you don't know what it's supposed to be. So if you're going to check something like that, make sure you know what you're looking for, okay? This is just test light, test points looking for power. Basically all the test light does is find power, or if you switch the leads, it will find a ground for you. If you put this terminal on the positive of the battery, you can use this probe to check for ground, okay? You're just switching it. If you have a logic probe type test light, it will actually change colors from red to green, keep the polarity reversed, and it'll also show an actual voltage on it. Okay, let's say you check out a system that only works on high and you discover that the blower motor resistor is found to be defective, because that's a pretty common problem when the system only works on the high-speed blower. What would you check if you found that resistor to be defective?
Current draw of the blower motor within, check that the current draw of the blower motor, one of the most common reasons for a defective blower motor resistor is a defective blower motor that has worn bushings and draws more than normal current.
Sounds like a good answer. Check the blower motor connections, make sure that the current draw is not too high. That will cause the resistors to melt. Sometimes wiring, seen that before. On your cooling system service, this is stuff we went through in the cooling system chapter. There's nothing new here. If you have a problem with the heater, the thermostat may be partially stuck open or completely stuck open, causing lack of heat from the heater, causing the engine not to warm up, causing the check engine light to most likely come on.
Okay, so if the thermostat's open, it's overheat, right?
What's that?
If the thermostat's open, the car's gonna overheat, right?
No, it won't warm up if it's stuck open.
It won't warm. So it'll just keep getting cold because it's open.
So what'll happen is, normally the way it works is when you start a car cold, let's say your car sat all night, and you get up to go to school in the morning, you start your car up, the thermostat is closed, okay? It doesn't allow, it'll allow a little bit through the bypass, but for the most part, the engine is just trying to warm up before it starts circulating coolant and heat. Because otherwise, if it's just circulating all the time, meaning the thermostat is partially stuck open or stuck open, the engine, the coolant will circulate all the time and it just won't warm up. It won't get up to operating temperature. Or if it does, it'll take a long time to get there, okay? So your heater won't work right. So if it's stuck closed, it'll overheat, okay?
When you're driving, it's left closed, you know, for you, right?
Yes,
So this is warming up, so it's gonna be around.
right, right, right. Yeah, if it's open, engine won't warm up, you get a lack of heat from the heater. If it's stuck closed, the engine's gonna overheat because you're not getting any circulation.
Why does it take longer for some engines to warm up longer?
It depends on the car, it depends on what thermostat it has in it. Some do take longer. If it takes too long, it's probably got a problem because it shouldn't take more than maybe 10 minutes driving time to warm up.
Bless you.
Oh, yeah. All right. This is just whatever, right? Hose is bad, replace a hose. There's nothing really exciting about that. They're going to tell you the heater hose should be the same length so when you take off. That's common sense. I mean, there's no reason to even put that in there, but it is in there at some point. Make sure the cooling fan is working. Okay, if it's an electric fan, make sure it works. If it's an engine-driven fan, make sure the clutch is good, make sure no blades are chipped or broken or anything like that. Visual inspection will give you a good indication of that. Depending on the vehicle, sometimes it's easier to see where the heater hose is connected to the heater core by looking up from the bottom. This car is on a lift, so you're looking up from the bottom. This is where your heater hose is connected to the heater core, which goes inside the full HVAC plenum inside the car. Okay, refrigerant recovery procedures. Leak repair. After a leak has been found, so you get a car that comes in, customer complains the AC is not blowing cold. You check it out, and you find out the refrigerant level is low. And you know that by the pressures or you actually see a leak, okay? After the leak has been found, the refrigerant should be recovered, faulty part replaced or repaired, and then you're going to recharge the system. Before you recharge the system, you have to do an evac on it. That means you're pulling a vacuum on the system, which we'll get to once we get there. It should be recovered by a machine, not allowed to escape into the atmosphere. But if the system has a leak, it's escaping into the atmosphere anyway, right? They're just trying to minimize how much it does. Yeah, right. Refrigerant identification, it says it should be identified before it's recovered. The machine does that for you, okay? It will identify it before it will recover the refrigerant. Because what it does is it checks it, it'll take a small sample of it, it'll analyze it, and if it says, yep, it's good, it will go ahead and recover it. So what it does, it pulls all the refrigerant out of the system and puts it into a storage tank in the machine. When you're done doing the repair, put it back in, okay?
So that's one of the few liquids that you can replace.
Or reuse, you mean, yeah.
Or reuse, yeah, reuse.
Shoot,
Okay.
you bet, yeah, yeah. Yep, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna suck all the refrigerant, the machine's gonna do it for you, it's gonna recover all the refrigerant, it's gonna store it in the tank, and when you fix it, you're gonna put it back in. It just mixes it with whatever's in it, right? Because it's got a 30-pound container of refrigerant on the machine. So, and it always tells you how much is left in the tank too. So it tells you when you have to change it. And you'll just go up to parts department and get the new 30-pound thing of refrigerant when it goes empty. It only takes a few minutes to change the tank on the machine, but you'll have to do that periodically. Okay, repairs and replacement of components. After all the refrigerant has been removed from the system, then the repairs can be accomplished. The only repair you can do on an air conditioning system without recovering the refrigerant, meaning emptying the system, is an electrical repair. Anything that requires opening the system, expansion valve, compressor, hose, anything like that, refrigerant has to be recovered first. Okay, the lines of connections must be vapor tight, easy to connect and disconnect, withstand the rapid, extreme temperature changes. The service valve caps, they have O-rings on them to keep the dirt out and the system sealed. If you have a service port that's leaking, the little Schrader valve is leaking, which happens at times, sometimes that cap will keep it from leaking out quicker. Because they do have a pretty good seal on them, and if you tighten it good, it's got a little O-ring on there, it'll keep it from escaping, but it will eventually leak out. But so keep those caps on the service ports, okay? Put them back on.
So the refrigerant is like the last thing within the system that is used, from what I've seemed to have noticed in the order that it's going. Because it's from the initial operating system, then to the coolant, and then the AC and heat, and then the refrigerant. Did I
Oh.
have that right?
Okay, I'm not sure what your question or statement was, I kinda lost you there.
I don't blame you.
Apparently Monday finally woke up. All right, so what was your question, or what were you gonna say? Do I have this right?
Yeah, just the order of operation of the entire system. It goes from the operating system as a whole, right, to the cooling system, including the heat. And then the last thing is the refrigerant. Do I have that right, that order right? Am I
Okay.
right? And as far as me personally trying to understand.
Okay, there's really
the
no
system
order
and
to
how
it, but those are, you're correct, your cooling system affects your heater,
Right, yeah,
okay? And your engine operating temperature, that's what it's for,
yeah,
okay? Your refrigerant is strictly for your air conditioning system. The ventilation system is your blower motor, your air divert, you know, when we talk about air management. So those are really the three systems, your cooling system, your air management, and your refrigerant for the
Okay.
air conditioner.
okay, thank you.
That was just a refrigerant identifier, but again, the machine's gonna do that for you. As soon as you hook the hoses up to the machine, turn it on, you're gonna hit the button that says recover, okay, to evacuate the system, to recover the refrigerant, okay? First thing it's gonna do, just like I said before, it's gonna take a little sample of it, it's gonna analyze it, and then it's gonna say, yep, it's good, and then it'll evacuate the system, or recover all the refrigerant, okay? And this is just the refrigerant identifier things, you don't have to worry about that. They have actual special little handheld refrigerant identifiers for you, you don't have to. The refrigerant, the AC machines are awesome, they do all that for you. They make air conditioning, recovery and evac and recharge super easy. When you're all done with it and go to recharge it, first thing you do is hit evac, because what it's gonna do is it's gonna pull the vacuum on the system. Once it's done, you watch it for a second, if it holds the vacuum, you probably don't have any leaks, and it's okay to go ahead and charge it. At that point, all you do is push the buttons. How much does it hold? You hit charge, and it charges it for you. Okay, super easy, machine does it all. The only thing you have to do is the repair, okay? We know they have quick connect fittings. That's just where the refrigerant oil gets recovered in the machine, because when you evac an AC system, it pulls a little bit of oil out of it. And the machine has just a place to store that, and it looks like that. So, nothing really to worry about there. This part here where it says it is recommended to warm the engine up to operating temperature and warm up the evaporator and all that, you don't have to do that. Alright. Again, the recovery is all done to the machine, you don't have to worry about any of that. And yes, it will go to the storage tank. It will also tell you how much it recovered. So let's say you are not sure if a system was overcharged or undercharged, just maybe wasn't working right. You could hook it up to the machine, hit recover, and it will pull all the refrigerant out of it, and it'll tell you how much it pulled out of it, because it weighs it as it does it. So when it's all done, it'll say it recovered, let's say, 0.5 kilograms. Let's say it holds 0.7. Well, you know it was a little bit low. At that point, you can just hit charge, and then it'll put the correct amount in it. So you always get a perfect charge with the machine too. Okay, a lot of AC lines have different connections where they go together. Some take special tools to disconnect them, okay? This is just showing you one type that they use on, that's pretty popular on Ford vehicles that look like that. Here it says Ford spring lock coupling. This just takes a special tool, you just slide in here and it releases that spring and you just pull it apart. But again, the system has to be empty before you pull the hose apart, okay? You'll typically have 2 O-rings on there, double protection for leak. These are just different types. Again, if you see a hose connection and it has some weird thing, and then you go, how do you get this apart? It's going to take some sort of little special tool. And those tools are cheap. One of them looks like that little plastic clam shell there. You just kind of push it over there and you slide it one way and pull the hose apart. They're just showing you how the fitting, the service port fitting works there. It's got that little spring lock. You just pull back, put it on there, release it, turn the knob, it depresses the valve. And as you can see, as you turn this knob here, it opens the valve to allow the refrigerant to flow. Just hooking it up isn't going to do anything. Okay, you got to turn the knob. Service cap, yes, they have O-rings on them. It's the primary seal if the valve leaks. Sometimes they do, and it will be the primary seal if it leaks. Sometimes the service ports are replaceable. And as you can see in this picture, this is just replacing the Schrader valve. Just like you would in a tire. But again, system has to be empty, okay? Don't take that cap off, put that little tool in there and pull that out of there. Be just like doing it on a tire, only worse. Okay, let's say you ever take a Schrader valve out of a tire when the tire was full of air? It's not dangerous or anything, but it's a
Makes a
AC system, 200 pounds of pressure, a lot more than a tire, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Just make sure you don't do any type of AC service unless it is empty. You have to recover the refrigerant first, all right? The only thing you can do without doing that is some sort of electrical repair. Let's say the compressor relay or something was bad. Obviously, anything electrical, you don't have to disconnect the system, so you don't worry about it, okay? You don't need a refrigerator identifier because, as I told you 100 times, the machine does it for you. Evacuation process. This is what you do right before you charge it. You're done doing the repair, okay? Let's say the compressor was bad. You recover the refrigerant, you replace the compressor, now it's time to recharge the system. Before you recharge it, you have to evacuate it, meaning suck all the air out of it. What it's going to do is pull a vacuum on it somewhere around 29 to 30 inches vacuum. The reason for this is moisture boils at 29 to 30 inches of vacuum. Okay, so it will pull all the moisture and all the air out of the system, ready for just fresh refrigerant. Okay, but again, the machine will do that for you. Obviously, evacuation should begin with an empty system. You don't want anything in it when you do an evac on it. 29 to 30 inches of vacuum indicates an empty system. Once the evac is done, you should wait 5 or 10 minutes and just watch that gauge, make sure it doesn't bleed off vacuum. Because if it does, you got a leak in the system. And you certainly don't want to charge it with a leak, because it's going to leak back out, you're going to have to fix it, do it again. Okay? Make sure it holds that for 5 minutes or so.
Now I understand the new machines that they were using. See, I thought it was just, I didn't understand, like it wasn't, maybe it was and it just didn't click, but that there was refrigerant in there. I always assumed it was like, I really didn't know. I thought it was just pressurizing, like it was never broken down to me. You know what I mean? So now, because I was sitting here confused for a minute, like, wait a minute. Like, I thought that, was something completely different, but now it holds all the refrigerant in that big machine is because it has the different sections in it to separate the liquid. Okay, now I'm understanding what I was looking at and what they were doing. What I saw them doing. Oh, now I understand.
All right. So, see where it says, at this time, most sources recommend using the vacuum decay method. That just means, does it hold that 29 to 30 inches of vacuum or not? If it does, it probably doesn't have a leak. If it doesn't, it's leaking somewhere, okay? Which obviously isn't hurting anything, because all it's doing is now it won't hold the vacuum that you just pulled on the machine or on the system. It's good to charge if it holds the vacuum, okay? You don't need a micron gauge. A lot of times they'll show you these little tools that they make separately, but your machine at the dealer does all that stuff for you. They're great. Okay, this is what you don't want in your AC system, non-condensable gases. Refrigerant should be checked for the presence of air. Air is a non-condensable gas. 2 ways to determine if there's air in the refrigerant. Hook the machine up to it, hit recover, it'll tell you. Okay, if it's contaminated, you're probably just going to have to let it go into the atmosphere, because the machine won't accept it. Okay. Refrigerant recycling, after it has been recovered, needs to be recycled for further use. It just gets put back in another car or that same car or whatever. Okay?
So,
2 ways can be identified by the refrigerator temperature. All right. Recharging the system after it's been evacuated, it can be recharged with refrigerant. Most vehicles have a sticker or a placard somewhere that indicates the correct amount of refrigerant. It's also going to tell you what type of oil and how much it takes. It's going to tell you what type of refrigerant and how much it holds. Everything is going to be on that label. If it's not there, you can look it up.
so the compressor clutch will turn blue.
Huh?
It says compressor, it's on page 803. Compressor service, compressor clutch service. If the compressor clutch has been slipping, it is blue, indicating that
Oh, yeah,
excessive heat
overheated,
has been
yeah.
generated.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So it literally changes color.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll change color because it got hot. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is I just went on all data, it's one of those paid subscriptions for car repair, right? So I just threw a car in here, so it's 2019 Camaro, 2-liter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to specifications, fluid types and capacities. And if it doesn't say, or you don't know how much it holds, you just go right here, and it will tell you how much does it hold. Refrigerant charge 134A, if it has 1234 YF, because in 2019 could be either way. Okay, this is how much it holds. It's in pounds and kilograms. So if you don't know, you can look it up. All right. Back to this. Okay. Service charge, I don't know if that's gonna be much good, but the label looks like that. You're gonna see it on the car. Normally, they're there, they don't come off very easily. People don't peel them off. The only time you won't see that, maybe it's the car's been in an accident, and maybe that was on the core support, and it had to be replaced. Typically, they'll put another sticker on it, but for the most part, they'll be there. As you can see, right here, it says, charge level, 0.96 kilograms, plus or minus 0.101. Okay, that's getting awful nitpicky there. But if you charge this system and you put in the machine, it holds 0.96 kilograms. It's gonna put exactly that much in it, so you don't have to worry about it. What do you use? 134A, okay? Temperature and humidity gauge, useful tool for air conditioning work. The higher the relative humidity, the more difficult it is for the system to lower the temperature inside the vehicle. So, you will maybe notice that. On really hot, humid days, the air conditioner is not going to work quite as good. Okay? That's just the way it is. This is something you may never do, but it may come up in test questions. So, if you are going to do a retrofit, meaning an older car that had R12, you want the air conditioning system to work, can't get R12 anymore, you can change it over to 134A, which is still available. Whenever making the changes, several tasks have to be performed, including you have to replace the service fittings because they're different, replacing the oil, change the labeling. It also may be necessary to change hoses, O-rings, switches, condensers, compressors, depending on the vehicle. When you do a retrofit, they do make these fittings that screw right onto the normal R12 fittings that now make it adaptable for a 134A hose connection. And you would have to put a label, the retrofit kit if you do it. It'll come with a label, you just fill in the thing. So if somebody else services it, they know it's been retrofitted and all that stuff, okay? Nothing exciting on the drive belt, just make sure it's good, make sure it's tight. Clutch service. Normally, if a compressor clutch is bad, you're gonna replace the whole compressor, okay? Just so you know, if you do replace just the clutch on a compressor, it is possible to do that, okay? Depending on the compressor, but more cost effective, cheaper, quicker, easier to just replace the whole compressor. I don't see the need to replace a compressor clutch. It could be necessary in certain cases, but to me, if the clutch is burned up or the clutch is bad on the compressor, it's getting a new compressor. So I don't want to have to worry about going through the hassle of swapping it out. Just so you know, there's an air gap adjustment on that clutch because it's electromagnetic clutch. So when your car is running, when the AC is not on, that belt is turning around the compressor, right? But it's just turning a bearing and a pulley. It's not turning the actual compressor.
Right.
Nothing's going on inside there, okay? When you engage the air conditioning, that electromagnetic clutch grabs the internals of the compressor, turns the inside of the compressor, and now it starts working. Okay, there has to be an air gap there so it doesn't drag if it's too close, and it won't engage if it's too far. So there is an air gap between that clutch and the actual compressor.
And that just happens naturally.
Right. But if you replace the compressor clutch, you gotta set that air gap, because you're putting a new clutch on it with a tool, and you gotta put a feeler gauge in there, and as you draw it on to the compressor, you gotta get that air gap just right, okay? Okay, compressor removal, if testing indicates the compressor has failed, it should be replaced, of course. Okay, there's one of those special tools for a clutch replacement. But again, every compressor is not the same, so this is just gonna go through a little animation of telling you how you would replace a compressor clutch. So there is the electromagnetic clutch part that you're taking off if you were going to do that, but again, I recommend just replacing the compressor. Special tool to put it back on. Now here comes your feeler gauge. You put your feeler gauge in between there. They want 16 to 20 thousandths of an inch. And then your air gap is set. All right. Removal and replacement of the drive belt. That should be pretty simple. If you're gonna take a belt off for any reason, make sure you have the diagram how to put it back on. Because sometimes it can be confusing.
But that's actually a fun job. I like doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like doing belts. I don't know, it's weird.
Condenser service. Condensers typically don't fail, okay? There's no moving parts, it's just a blob and, looks like a radiator in front of the radiator, okay? Typically, condensers don't go bad, okay? The only thing that happens to them is they pick up road dirt and crap like that. Sometimes the cooling, or the little fins get bent over. They do make fin combs, which is hilarious if you ask me. But anyway.
Is that what that is in figure 6713?
Yeah, probably that funny looking thing with the teeth on it.
Yeah.
The fin, condenser fin comb, yeah.
It looks like
Yeah.
a boat,
Yeah,
boat
that's-
propeller.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, if the condenser is replaced, make sure the proper amount of refrigerant oil is back into the system. The reason they tell you that is there is oil in the system, right? It's just a little bit. But again, it's just mainly the reason the system has oil in it is to lubricate the compressor. Okay, compressor has moving parts and needs oil, right? So, all of the little components in the AC system have a little bit of oil in them. So if you replace a condenser, you should put a little bit more oil in the system before you charge it. And these service information things, they'll tell you how much to put in, okay? If you replace a compressor, you have to put oil in it, because now you're taking the old compressor off, you put the new one on, you're gonna lose a little bit of oil. Just so you know, most compressors come pre-charged with oil, meaning it has oil in it already. So you may have to add a little more, you may not. That's your little fun guy right there. That
What is the purpose of helps?
obviously, this one has been used. You can see how it's dirty right here. These are just different spacings for teeth, for whatever the fins are on the condenser. This just straightens them out if they get bent over. Because if they get bent over, you don't get airflow as good. Again, probably not something you'll ever use, but there's lots of little tools that exist to do all kinds of funny things. Condenser replacement. Nothing to it. See how fast they did that? Again, that's gonna be right up front, right?
That's not the, why did somebody call that the radiator?
Because it looks like the radiator. It's right in front of the radiator.
But that's not the radiator, that's the condenser.
Right,
But I,
right.
okay.
The radiator holds your coolant.
Right, that's, I was so confused as to why they're pulling at the radiator.
That's the forwardmost part of the car, right behind the grill.
Yeah.
Behind the condenser is gonna be the radiator. The only time you'll have something in front of the condenser is if the car has a turbocharger on it and it's got an intercooler. They put that in front of the condenser. So then you could have an intercooler, AC condenser, and then radiator.
Yeah,
You could have three pieces there.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of a lady's car, she basically killed it, but she had a crap so-called mechanic come out and charge her
So-called,
$900 to fix her radiator, but he didn't fix her radiator, he replaced the condenser. Yeah, exact, that's why I'm confused, that's why I'm sitting here confused.
Fix the condenser and the
Yeah,
radiator
that's
is the
what he
first
did.
thing.
How can
He replaced, I'm telling you.
How
he
can some
replaced the
clown be
condenser.
that
Backwards.
stupid and
That's
call
what I'm-
himself a mechanic?
That's why I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. I know I saw this happen. I literally watched this happen. And I was standing there scratching my head like, and because I'm not that well versed, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
questioning myself like, okay, I'm wrong. Then, I'm thinking, okay, he knows more than me. Hey, I'll be wrong. But now I'm like, no, he was definitely wrong. He was completely wrong. And he stole her money.
Well, he couldn't replace the condenser without evacuating the, recovering the refrigerant,
Dude, I don't even know.
unless he just let it go out into the air.
He just,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I'm telling you, I watched it happen.
That's scary.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, so
Mhm.
the condenser is like right when we look on our grill, that's the condenser.
Yeah.
The condenser is in the front.
Yep, it's the,
Not
it's,
after the radiator.
yep, yep, the radiator's closest to the engine.
But you can't see it when you open the hood, you just see the radiator.
Yeah, a lot of times you can't see the condenser, but it's right in front of it. Yeah.
So when you replace the radiator, they're gonna come out with it, or?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they piggyback them for ease of installation, but you can't separate them, okay? So if you have to replace just a condenser, you don't have to pull the radiator out. But if you're gonna replace a radiator, sometimes the condenser will come out with it unless you unhook it, because sometimes they just have a little saddle that's built into the bracket that it sits in.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah,
So let's say the pressure out of the condenser.
yeah, you have to you have to recover the refrigerant, meaning you have to discharge the system before you can change any part of the air conditioning system, because it's under pressure,
Yeah, that's,
okay? It'd be like trying to patch a tire with air in it. You can't do that. You gotta let the air out of it, right? Okay. Evaporator, that's inside the car, obviously. If it's bad, it's gotta be replaced. Major job involving disassembly of the dash. The evaporator is hiding inside the car behind the dash. They kind of build the car around them. Extremely difficult job to do. Luckily, they don't fail very often. Accumulator receiver dryer, nothing to that. Unbolt it, replace it. If the receiver dryer happens to be part of the condenser, you gotta replace the condenser. Because some of them are now. Okay, it's just, they make it as part of the, condenser. It's not a separate piece. So sometimes you would just have to replace the whole thing. Okay. Always be sure the service valves are snug and they don't leak. Commonplace for smaller refrigerant leaks.
I have a quick question for the condenser. Is a machine to take out the thing, right? Or are you just, how do you take the pressure out of the condenser?
The same way you would take the pressure out of the whole, any of the thing to service the AC system. You hook it up to the AC machine and you hit recover, it sucks all the refrigerant out of it, then you can take it
I'm
apart.
trying to do it from home, you
You can,
like you just trying to
but,
replace your air.
but
Like is there a way to unscrew it? and
you're,
just run it
you're
out?
not supposed to do it at home. Okay?
So you have to have the machine.
You're supposed to have a machine. It's one of those things where you're not supposed to do it, but people do it. If you don't have big expensive AC recovery machine at home and you're gonna do your own AC repair, you can let the refrigerant out in the air? Probably. You're not supposed to do it, but you can. You know, it's like you're not supposed to run a red light when you're driving down the road, but everybody's done it, right? You're not gonna go to jail over it, but you're not supposed to do it, okay? So, that's how that works. If you have to replace any component in the AC system, the refrigerant has to be taken out first, okay? Again, you can compare it to trying to patch a tire. Let's say you got a tire with a leak in it. You can't take the tire off the rim and patch it with air on the tire. You gotta let the air out of it, right? Same with the accumulator. All those little things have a little bit of oil in them, so you would have to put a little bit more oil in the system. You had to replace it. Orifice tube expansion valve, same thing. Discharge the system, replace the bad part, charge it back up. They do make a special tool for replacing the orifice tube. And if you don't have that tool, you can use a pair of needle-nose pliers, usually works.
So that's a tiny little thing.
Yep.
And it goes right there.
Depends on the car.
So that's how it can get clogged up. See, I was thinking it was more hanging like like that excess tube where the water goes out from the AC, you know, underneath the car. I thought it was kind of more out in the open.
Some of them could be up here under the hood.
Oh,
This one just happens to be at the connection here.
okay.
So it could be anywhere in here.
Within that line.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. If
But
you-
it's not exposed though, it's
Oh,
within
no,
the
no, no,
line.
it's hiding inside the tube.
Yeah.
So think of like an AC line, aluminum tube, you know, maybe half-inch in diameter. That slips right inside of it, and then there's a connection that goes together there. It's always gonna be at some sort of connection, because otherwise you couldn't access it.
Okay. So the orifice tube will always be at a connecting point.
Yep, it will. Always. And a lot of times you can identify it because they'll put a little tiny crimp in that line to show you it's right here. Okay. Last one.
So we're having an early day today?
Not necessarily.
Oh, dang. I was really hoping I could take a nap.
There's always somebody in here needing a nap, isn't there? How you doing back there? Yeah? You got the whole back row to yourself, I think, yeah.
He wants to take all the computers off the table and leave them.
Yeah. And one for you. I know this class gets confusing. And we just started.
Oh my goodness. We're with a third of the way through?
The class is really, in my opinion, very advanced and very technical for guys starting out. You know what I mean? So that's why some of the stuff I just go through it like, okay, don't worry about that, you know, or you're never gonna do this, or whatever, you know. I try to give you the best information, but again, this is more of an advanced class, but you still do get the basics, so it works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Some of these questions are funny.
Yes, they can be. Sometimes they have a sense of humor, the people that write them, they give you answers that are like, seriously? You can't mess that up.
This week or next week or last week going to start villages?
This week is our last week,
This is our last week?
and then and then next week we're gonna switch.
Oh, what did you get for 7?
I didn't look. I'm trying to test my knowledge, but I got that.
Okay. I was thinking that because in the book answers, it has a different, both selection on the book. It says both A and B, and A is a larger condenser, and B is a new service fitting with a retrofit label. And on here it says B and C, which is a high pressure cutoff switch and a new service fitting with the retro label.
And that's why I went with A.
Yeah, that's one thing I'd say too, because it's either one of those. Retrofit label, you can't really make a new retrofit label. That has to be done by the dealer. If you do that, it's gonna be a fucking sticky note with duct tape.
The index card.
Something like that.
Having time, all you need is duct tape, a flathead, and a hammer, and you can repair pretty much anything.
If you want it to last for like 2 days,
Hey, I fixed the pipe with duct tape and electrical tape and painter tape.
I'm not calling you for plumbing.
It helped. It helped for years. It helped for many, many years.
So yeah, I'm gonna just say fuck yeah. And then two, I couldn't find that at all.
Number two, I believe I remember that correctly, and it's A, but I know I
I
saw
was
it.
looking at that right there on 803, but that says CFC 12 and HFC 134A.
Yeah, that's where I
And I
remember.
couldn't find that anywhere besides the O-rings. I was talking about you need to swap out the O-rings and the gaskets whenever you change it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say anything about that over there.
So I may be wrong, but that's where I remembered that from, and that's why
It
I
has
was
the same numbers.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Did you find anything for two? And if you did, where'd you find it?
Okay, so look on page 800.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want me to look there?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at service valves.
And then
Oh,
it
it doesn't say
says.
anything.
It's not in the box. It's the HFC 134.
That's what I'm saying.
and-
Maybe it might be another book issue,
Mm.
because the only place I see those numbers and letters are for the O-ring and gaskets. That's the only place. Like not even in any of the figures, it says
Yeah.
anything about it. The only place I see those are replace the O-ring seals at all connections when you retrofit a system. This ensures any traces of R12 or its oil absorbed in the O-ring cannot enter the new system. Replace gaskets as well.
Mhm.
What is that new system?
Mhm. I think. Retrofit from CFC to.
Yeah, the only place I see anything that has to do with that is right there on 803. I don't see that shit anywhere else.
Mm-mm.
But then again, even on 803, it says 90% minus 4 ounces.
Yeah,
90%
not
of the thing.
10%.
Minus 4 ounces. Doesn't say anything about something less. I went through this whole fucking thing and I couldn't find nothing. I have a feeling that's gonna be something that the book fucked up on. And if not, then I'm just blind.
I'm thinking it might have come from another chapter because
That too.
it has it on page 793 where it talks about the R 134, but it doesn't have any 10% or 4 ounces.
Yeah. I can't find that shit nowhere.
This isn't even
Just
touchable.
gonna hope for the best. Fuck it.
Retrofit charge R12 is specified R12 charge. Retrofit. No, currently there's no mandate to retrofit it. That's on 758.
All right, sure,
Okay.
everybody's got it.
Yeah.
I was trying to print out some practice test
Okay.
questions, so.
Number 2,
Number two.
Number two is, oh goodness, I forgot his name.
Aris?
Huh?
Aris?
Maurice? That's
Yeah.
his name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Really, that's his name?
Yeah.
Why was I thinking it was something different? Okay. Anyway.
Because you were in the back row all this time.
Oh, probably. Okay. So for number two, he and I were kind of, maybe some other people were having difficulty with it because we couldn't find an answer during a retrofit. The replacement R134A charge should be what in the specified R12 charge. Now we were thinking that because on page, no, I have to go all the way back. On page, what page was it, guys? Help me out here.
It should be on 803.
Yes, 803.
Uh-huh.
So it says 90%, right? It's, but not 10%. So we see that it says like minus 4 ounces, 30 ounces times 90% equals 22 ounces minus 4 ounces, right? But that doesn't necessarily answer the question. So I went all the way back to page 758, around the introduction of the R1213, whatever it is.
134A?
Yeah, so I went all the way back there to see if it could help me, but I still can't seem to find it. Is that one of those? Yeah. Yeah, because I went all the way back to page 758. Yeah.
What was one?
Well, we haven't started.
Oh, we haven't
Shit, no.
started, I just asked. Yeah, because that was a tough one.
Yeah.
All right, on page 802 at the bottom, it says retrofitting CFC 12, AFC 134A. You could substitute those for just R12 and R134A. This is just a technical name that nobody uses anyway. It's going to tell you on the next page the amount of 134 is usually 90% of the 12 minus 4 ounces.
Yeah. But that says 90%, not 10%.
Yeah.
10%.
Mm-hmm. Minus 4
Did we
to
mess
20,
up on
20
the
to
answers?
30.
Well, it's just the wording is backwards, but it would be
10%.
10% minus the 4 ounces. Because they're showing it, they're just describing it the other way. They're saying it's 90%. It holds 90% of it, so it's gonna be 10% less.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
That's all they're saying. It's-
Okay.
I know
So it
it's
would be
weird.
A.
Yeah,
Okay, good,
yeah,
good, good,
yeah.
good, good, good.
Yep. Okay, so let's do this. Number one.
2 technicians are discussing replacing heater. You know what? Go ahead, because I did too. So you go ahead.
2 technicians are discussing replacing heater hoses. Technician A says that the replacement hoses should be the same length as the original hoses. Technician B says the replacement hoses should be cut as short as possible to allow more coolant to flow through the heater core faster. Which technician is correct?
A.
I said A.
Who says technician B is an idiot? Because he is.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's A.
Number 3.
Number 3, yeah, we too is A.
If a condenser has a leak, it can be easily repaired with epoxy.
I said false.
No. False. Do not do that. Needs a new one. What are the AC O-rings made of?
D.
D, yeah.
Huh?
AAC.
Yep. They are not natural rubber, they are neoprene or the HS and.
Home Shopping Network.
Exactly.
It affected thermostat control and engine to operate output C.
Either one, too hot or too cold, yeah.
Effective, what is that? Does that mean closed or?
Just
Defective,
whichever one,
okay,
if it's
so-
closed or stuck open.
Defective means it doesn't work properly. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. So defective just means it doesn't work right. Might be stuck open, might be stuck closed, might be, so, yeah.
Number 6. Which of the reading represents
below the vacuum reading? C?
500
It's like
microns.
D.
Yeah,
It's D?
yeah.
Yeah. C is like 50,000 microns. D is 500 microns. 500 is recommended, and anything lower than that.
All right, number 7.
Which part must be used when refitting a vehicle from R12 to R134A refrigerant? A new condenser?
D, both.
Hold up. B and C.
Oh, where's that at?
It's the bullet point.
But that's what I'm confused on. In the book answers, it says, where is it at? It says, for number 9, both A and B, and that's a new condenser or a new service fitting and a retrofit label. So would it only be a high pressure cutoff switch? Or would it be a new condenser? Because on here it says B and C, which is new service fitting and a pressure cutoff switch.
Well, it's actually all of them, because if you
Yeah.
see it says high pressure cutoff switch must be installed. And here's the deal, a condenser should be replaced, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I'm still confused in there.
So
So,
what
Yeah.
would the answer be in the book?
It's D.
so technically we all got that right, regardless of what we put.
Yeah, pretty much. yeah.
Okay, so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put it as right.
There, yeah. Well, there's no wrong answer, but D is the textbook answer.
Okay.
However, the reason they didn't include condenser is because it's not absolutely necessary to change a condenser. But if you do, it will work better. I've seen it done both ways. Okay?
Alright. 8. What service procedure should be performed before recovering refrigerant from AC system? The refrigerant should be identified.
Uh-huh. Again, that's not your job. The machine does it for you, but it will do that before it will recover the refrigerant.
Number 9, technician A says to charge the system with refrigerant until the condenser temperature is equal to the ambient temperature plus 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm guessing that's Fahrenheit. Technician B says to charge the system with a manufacturer specified weight of refrigerant. Which technician is correct?
Is it both?
B?
I said D only.
Yeah.
I put C.
So, here's the deal. Anytime you have a question that says anything like this that makes you say, this is obviously correct, because it says right here, manufacturer specified weight of refrigerant. It has to be right. The other guy is not. Number 10.
An evaporator is being replaced on a vehicle. It is recommended that the blank also be replaced at the same time. Isn't the heater cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember we talked about that because they both live in the same
It's right here
area.
on tech
They're
tip,
both
might
a
as well
pain
do it
in the
now.
butt to replace. Sometimes when you replace one, not a bad idea to replace the other one, just because it's so hard to get to.
Yeah.
Did you have a question? No?
No.
It's
Okay.
B?
Yeah, heater core, it's right
Oh,
there
yeah.
on 804. Might as well do it now, tech tip.
Yep. Might as well do it now, because it's a pain to get to. Obviously, you have to okay it with the customer and say, hey, since I'm already here, would you like me to place the heater coil on here? And if the customer says no, hey, not your problem. Okay. Quiz B. Safety glasses are worn whenever we're servicing AC components. That should be an
Yes,
obvious.
True. For anything, you should be
Right.
wearing your glasses.
Okay. Defect thermostat we did.
C.
Number 3.
Technician A says that all orifice tubes on all vehicles use the same size orifice size. That's completely wrong. Technician B says that orifice tubes vary the orifice size by application, which technician is correct.
B.
Technician B,
Okay. Remember what I said about this?
all orifice size on all vehicles.
Obviously, that's
Very
wrong.
wrong.
Right? Okay. Normally, if you see that on a question, it's wrong.
So it would be technician B?
Yep.
Got you.
All right.
All radiator the radiator usually cools.
Stuck on the all already, huh?
The radiator usually cools better if the front air cam is removed. Is that
It's supposed to say front air dam.
Oh, air
typo.
dam. Oh, then false. because
Yep,
it needs air.
that's the reason it's there, that direct
Yeah.
airflow through the radiator, through the condenser, yeah.
Technician A says that vacuum is usually measured in PSI. Technician B says vacuum is usually measured in inches of mercury. Who is correct? Would it be B?
Yep. Vacuum and pressure are opposite, so it's not gonna be measured in pounds per square inch.
Yeah, if it was a
Vacuum is measured
pressure.
in inches of mercury, abbreviated HG, okay?
What does HG mean again?
That's just a symbol for, inches of mercury. I don't know
Okay.
exactly what it means,
Okay.
yeah.
Which part must be used when refitting a vehicle from R12? That
Oh, we
was,
did that one,
yeah,
right, yeah.
all of them but B
Okay.
and C.
Uh,
But you see how it's different? It shows B and C. Wait, what the fuck?
it's the same
On
question.
the book, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the book, it's different.
Oh, yeah, it may be different in the book, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it says A and B, and that's the condenser and the service fitting for retrofit label.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
So-
there's really no wrong answer.
Two technicians are, why can I read? Are discussing how to remove refrigerant from a system. Technician A says that you can vent it into the atmosphere as long as it has moisture in it.
No.
Technician B says that all refrigerant must be captured. Who is correct?
B.
Technician B.
Yeah, of course. Common sense question.
Two technicians are discussing replacing heater hose. Oh, we already did that one.
Oh, we did, yeah, we did that one.
What is the purpose of evacuating the AC system? A, to eliminate any moisture inside the system, to remove the foreign substances inside the system. Both A and B are correct, neither A or B are correct.
B?
It's C, right?
B?
Evacuating the AC system.
Foreign substances?
What do you guys think?
Gonna go over that?
Is
Believe it
it-
or not, this is a commonly missed question. So think about it for a minute.
Do you not want moisture inside the system?
That,
It's liquid into gas, gas into
Let's go.
liquid.
You don't want moisture in it.
well, there's
The
usually,
evacuation process is what you do before you charge it.
yeah,
That's pulling
To
the
eliminate
vacuum on
any
the system.
moisture in the
Moisture.
system.
yeah,
Right.
that's the only.
Most people, because this, by the way, I'm gonna give you a hint, this is gonna show up on the test tomorrow. Same question. Almost everybody puts C. There should not be any foreign substances inside the system, okay?
So C's right.
Just A.
Oh.
Just A?
That's the purpose of evacuation, to bring the moisture out of the system. Remember,
So, yeah.
moisture will boil at 30 inches of vacuum.
So it's just A, to
Just
eliminate the
A.
moisture.
Yep,
Okay, good. I thought I was
Alright.
wrong for a second, the way you explained it.
okay.
You wanna go over the book still?
Is the end of
The book, the only one is number two.
HVAC.
Yeah, you're right.
But don't worry, there's plenty more to do.
When
Let's
should
see, is
the-
there any questions in the book we need to look at?
Yeah,
10.
only number 10, when should the accumulator be replaced with a new one?
Whenever the system is open for service.
Or
Yep.
every 5 years?
Yep. Now, just
say
so
every
you
5
know, if you live here in the desert, you don't necessarily have to do that. But if you live somewhere where there's a high humidity, yeah, you should replace the fuel for the system because
Gotcha.
it's hard to get the moisture out of the accumulator. So, but if you live in the desert, which we do, you don't really have to worry about that. So, all right. So tomorrow we're gonna start all over at the beginning
Yay.
and make sure everybody's got this down. We're gonna do practice test questions, all that kind of stuff. We also have a couple of these we're gonna do, we have time to do one of these before lunch. Let's do this one. Again, this is from, the 7th edition of this, which we've seen before, so the questions are helpful.
Now, is this one, graded? Like,
Nope.
okay, cool, I just wanna make sure. Cause I know you said we're gonna get a 50 question test?
Yeah, so tomorrow's test is part of your class grade.
Okay,
That's only on your Wednesday test. These are just to help you be able to pass those tests and for your information.
gotcha.
So we'll do this one, then we'll take the lunch break and we'll get back to some other things that we're gonna refresh.
Excuse me.
Look at number 4, it says BB.
Huh?
Look at number 4, it
Hmm.
says BB.
Oh, shit.
Sign it back.
Say what?
The answers are in the back.
You're not supposed to know that.
I thought there was a question in the back.
I did too.
Yeah,
But I'm checking with myself, but because of that, I got a question. 4, has 2 of those answers. It says B twice.
Oh,
say what?
4 says B twice.
I don't know what you mean.
Like the answer says
You don't
B
get the
carbon
option of
dioxide
A.
levels, B hydro.
Oh, yeah,
Carbon
sure
dioxide.
does, doesn't it?
So would that be the original B or would that be the other
That's
B?
funny, right?
circle both.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna assume that it's the original B,
Yeah.
because the other B doesn't make sense. Why would
It sure does,
Why
doesn't
would
it?
it? Yeah.
Why did they pay me to proofread all these? That'd be great. I gotta fix all these mistakes for them.
Make a good amount of money for that, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
messed
there
up
is.
things.
There actually is a lot of them. Okay. What are the sensors for in the system?
C.
What is, C?
See?
Yes.
Okay.
You ask, we answer.
What does the AC compressor speed sensor do? Prevents locked up compressor from damaging engine build.
Okay. Another one of these where the long answer is the correct answer, right?
Oh shit!
Number 3.
Number 3.
What is the function
I hit my knee on
of the pressure transducer in an HVAC system? I'm gonna say it's B.
Again, if you didn't know, pick the long answer.
These desks are.
Most likely it's gonna be right. If you don't know, if you're gonna guess anyway, you might as well guess that because usually it's right. Okay? Okay, 4.
On the ASC.
I'm sorry, what?
On the ASC.
Is it like that on the ASE? Possibly. But like I said, if you're gonna guess, actually not a bad idea to pick the longest answer. Because if you don't know anyway, you might as well just go with the most likely as a guess. What, we did 4, right? Yeah.
What was 4?
B.
Which
It's
one?
carbon dioxide level.
Hydrocarbons or ozone.
No, it's carbon dioxide level.
So it is that one?
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, so 4 is the first B, not the second B.
That's weird.
I thought-
Well, I'm guessing it is.
And the answer she
That's
just said
the only one
was
that
B.
makes sense to me. Carbon dioxide level, I mean, that's what you exhale when you're breathing.
Number 5.
Number 5, type of actuators,
C.
vacuum or electric, right? Okay.
What is the purpose of the HVAC control head and heating and AC systems?
A.
A.
Yeah. Good.
What type of clutch do air conditioning compressors use?
D.
Electromagnetic clutch.
Electromagnetic clutches, yep.
What is the purpose of the low pressure and high pressure switches / sensors in an HVAC system?
Is it A?
A.
Control the compressor, yep.
What is the function of the feedback circuits in a HVAC system?
Is it B?
A.
A.
Provide position information to the controller, yep. That's what the feedback circuit is.
What is the purpose of the automatic temperature control delay in an HVAC system?
Is it A?
B.
It's B?
Uh-huh. Neat.
B? Okay. To achieve the desired level of humidity in the passenger compartment?
Sounds crazy, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it does make sense. Why did I pick A? I don't know.
What is
Well,
the
you notice it says the delay. And a delay would,
Yeah.
allow that, because the air conditioning system moves the humidity, so.
Okay, that's why I picked A. Thank you.
Okay.
what is the purpose of the control module in automatic climatic control systems?
C.
C.
C, open and close circuit based on sensor values.
I don't know why this is 12, but what devices can control the module operate relays for?
B?
I thought it was B2, but it's D.
Is it?
Is it?
What devices can the control module operate relays for? The answer is everything.
That's what I
Come on,
thought,
man.
There's no right answer there.
but this was specifically
what do they
for
want?
the AC, so I figure,
Yeah, I thought it was the same thing. So now I gotta
What answer do they
grade
want?
myself.
Oh, we got the answer.
so it's really all of them.
They wanted lights
Well,
and horn.
They did.
windows and
Yeah.
doors, can it operate relays for those? Sure. Compressors, those, sure. Brakes and steering for certain things, yeah, lights and horns, yeah.
What are ECMs programmed for to provide specific vehicle requirements? C.
Okay,
What is the purpose of self-diagnosis tests in automatic climatic control systems?
C. That's it.
diagnose faults in the climate control system, all right, so.
I got 11 out of 14.
Who's getting lunch? Where are we going?
I got some ramen noodles in my car.
No. I've seen how they were made.
I've seen how they're made too. I just don't care.
Oh, I did.